ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between. Today, I'm here to present an argument. And I talk about this a lot. In fact, in every one of my videos, I mention this term. And that term is the soy boy. And we are going to talk about soy boys today and how they have a negative effect on our society. Maybe that was a bit of an extreme intro. You know, whatever. Anyway, so the bottom line is today we're talking about soy boys. I'm going to talk about it first of all from a scientific perspective because, you know, science, bitch. Okay? Then I'm going to talk about it from an anecdotal perspective, from my perspective. And that anecdotal perspective, I'm going to tell you right now, it isn't scientifically based, but it's culturally based, and it's from a qualitative standpoint, at least from somebody who's just observing. All right, somebody who observes culture and society. So, the first thing that I want to get out of the way, if you don't know what a soy boy is, what is it? Well, I'm going to flash some pictures across the screen. Okay, so those are soy boys. Now, you have to wonder, we've never really seen that until, I don't know, like the 90s, the 80s. How did we get to a point in society where we have that, where we allow that? Well, this whole soy boy word actually came about as a discussion around a video made by a gentleman named Paul Joseph Watson. Now, do I agree with Paul Watson when he said that? No. And I'm going to get into the science in a few seconds, but he uses sometimes statistics and science to fuel his arguments. He doesn't just say what is, you know, his emotions. He doesn't let his emotions run him and influence his message. That's what I like about him. Now, in this particular video, science has been thrown to the wayside, and I don't know why he has done that in this video, because it has done a lot to discredit his ability. The idea behind soy boys is this, and the reason that we call them that is this. There is a belief that the consumption of soy and soy products has an influence on your hormonal balance. Specifically, the influence supposedly is that it will increase your estrogen and turn you into a more feminized version of yourself. I've seen the research, or not even research, but the postulations. Makes sense, but there is not enough research there to make that claim. I'll link some of the research in the description if I can. I know YouTube doesn't really like when you link to sites off of YouTube. I'll see what I can do. Or maybe I'll put an annotation, who knows, maybe I'll put it in the video. We'll see what happens. I mean, you're watching it right now. Anyway, so, bottom line, soy doesn't increase estrogen, or at least we don't have the data to suggest that. And because we don't have the data to suggest it, we can't be like, oh, it's the truth. Now, this is my cultural argument, all right? And this is from me. When you look at one of these people, one of these so-called soy boys, now I want you to realize that most of them, you know, they probably aren't vegetarian or vegan and consuming a whole bunch of soy. I don't know how you could make that assumption off the bat. But obviously there's a problem here, because when we have men, like a lot of men in our society, and I mean, you could just go out and walk the streets and you'll see this. And it's particularly white men, by the way. I don't want to get racial here, but I've noticed that it's really like it's white people who have this sort of I don't know what. It seems to be white people that have this problem with being soy boys, and I think of a lot of it is a factor of we are not raising men properly. You know, when you have this problem that's so widespread where most men that you see are, you know, walking skeletons. And I mean, it's not like we don't have access to food, because we do. You know, it's either that or you're, you know, one of these, you know, my 500-pound life guys who, you know, patrols Walmart in a scooter or a hover round, right? It seems to be one or the other. And neither one of those things is healthy. But from a cultural perspective, diet is, it is very cultural. As much as we don't look at it that way, it certainly is. You know, when you remove a food group from your diet, red meat, right? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you do that for the sake of, you know, animal, you know, well treatment, I mean, props to you. I haven't done that, but I have a lot of respect for people who, you know, restrict their diets based on the fact that, hey, this animal is suffering. Despite that, if you don't take care of yourself, because lest we forget that there are a lot of vitamins and minerals that we need that come from sources of red meat in our diet. You know, when you eat a steak, it isn't just like this slab of protein and nothingness. You know, you've got a lot of, you know, you've got your iron, you've got a lot of different vitamins and minerals in that steak, whether you know it or not. And you know, iron just happens to be, you know, one of the main ones that vegetarians and vegans have a problem with having once their diet has been altered. And basically what I'm trying to say here is that if you remove an entire food group out of your diet, you'd better be putting something or some sort of like a vitamin supplement into it to balance it back out in terms of your micronutrition. Because, you know, it is harder to get protein that way, first of all. That's your macronutrition. But, yeah, I mean, you know, if you're not getting your protein, then that's a big problem. But if you're not getting your micronutrition, you know, if you aren't putting, you know, either a multivitamin or supplementing other, you know, vegetarian items in your diet that will balance things back out, you are going to be deficient in a vitamin, and that will affect your health. And it will, you know, to some extent, it might affect your mental health. And that might be where we see diet affecting the personalities of people. And it may very well be why we see people who are, you know, obviously, just by looking at somebody, deficient in nutrition. Also, there seems to be something here. I want you to look at these guys and say, hey, you know, these people don't look like they're eating well. And that's not just from, you know, somebody, you know, I mean, I could easily say that, you know, because I've worked hard for my physique, you know, right? You know, I can be like, oh, a judgmental Jimmy here, but, you know, when you look at these people, you have to wonder, you know, what's going on with their diet? There has to be something relating to this in terms of diet, and I don't know what it is, but it definitely shows me that there are not enough calories in their diets. You know, we live in the first world. You know, you shouldn't be constantly at a caloric deficit unless you're, you know, trying to get shredded. You know? There's nothing wrong with enjoying, you know, a cheeseburger here and there, as much as my videos would say otherwise. But that's all. That's all I wanted to pretty much say about this. But again, keep in mind that culture is influenced by diet, and diet is influenced by culture. And there is a relationship between those two things, and I think that it, you know, there's something to this whole soy boy phenomenon. Well, that is all for today, everybody. I know it was a bit of a weird video, but I had to get that off my chest because I talk about soy boys all the time, and you know, if you appreciated this video, please leave a like. If you think that I'm full of shit, please leave a comment, and we can have a discussion. Well, I mean, I probably won't answer you, but you know, nice to know that some people actually disagree with me. I like to have detractors. It helps me become a better person. And as always, in this video, okay, you hit the subscribe button. And that means that you have joined The Soy Boy Patrol. I'm out. Peace.